booing me, shouting me, oh, Ashewo, get out, get out. I feel very bad, oh. I feel humiliated, I swear to God. I don't do anything bad. When I at that moment, when I think I'm paying me. I said, "What come out for that venue?" These same boys follow me. Oh, they boo me, come out. I can't walk out like saying I said a criminal like me. I just can't think. Say, the same me. Where because of me, these two countries just can't sign this agreement for Jakarta. Come say 500 billion. Don't come for my state. I don't do bad things. I don't be criminal. I live my whole life. Do good things. Besides, I be saint, but I don't deserve to be treated like that. And the worst thing we pay me say, even people from my own place, they go like that. But I forgive them, Sha. Because you see, this one be the effect of poverty. When you don't get bad leadership for so long, people don't forget how to live. They don't forget the human side of things. And that is why the good say make woman come the leader.
So hello guys, what's up and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me, your girl barrister Neze, and this is Nezeville. Black Lives Matter. Why? Why do Black Lives Matter? Oh, we have come across the slogan time and again. And so I ask you again, why does Black Lives Matter? Don't Caucasian lives matter? Don't Asian lives matter? Don't Arab lives matter? For the life of me, don't all lives matter? So what's the fuss about? Why are we pushing this social movement and awareness that Black Lives Matter? Oh, so you are a hater of other lives. Let me take us through a little drive to history. The idea that Black people are the least of races stems from centuries back. It is a perception that was well crafted and deliberately construed to justify the exploitation, the subjugation, and the dehumanization of Black people across several societies. It wasn't always like that. There are some history that has been tried to be buried, but we should read more. There was a time when Blacks were seen as the superior race. During the time of ancient civilization around the 15th century, Ethiopia, Nubia, the Mali Empire, it is common knowledge that a good part of ancient civilization started in Africa, Egypt. Black Africans were powerful and respected. And even when slavery began in ancient Greece and Rome, slavery was not based primarily on race. I don't know which one of you watch all these medieval times movies, them Spartacus, Game of Thrones, those kinds of movies. If you have interest in those kind of movies, you would find that there were white slaves, there were Asian slaves, and there were also Black slaves. People of all races could be enslaved. It wasn't about the skin. This whole relegation of the Black race as inferior came with the transatlantic slave era and colonialism. So European colonizers and traders, driven by profit and ambition, sailed all the way to Africa and there began kidnapping and enslaving millions of Africans. They sat in their country and came up with laws legitimizing them to lay claims to our lands and our labor. This colonial master would draw a map and divide and say, this place is for you and this place is for you. European philosophers and scientists like Carl Linnaeus classified Black people as inferior to justify slavery. And in no time, our skin became falsely associated with primitiveness, savagery, and intellectual inferiority. And so European colonial powers used these racist ideologies to justify slavery and to justify the brutal colonization of Africa and the exploitation of both our human and natural resources. It was a mess. There was apartheid in South Africa. The Jim Crow laws in the US, which legalized racial segregation. It was illegal. How dare you attend the same school with a white person? How dare you attend the same church with a white person? It was institutionalized, keeping the blacks as second-class citizens. We were seen as lesser than animals, more like property, a piece of inanimate item. And that was how we went from here to there. Now, from this era of slavery, we moved to an era in the 20th century called the era of Pan-African movement and civil rights. Blacks started challenging these stereotypes, not just challenging it physically, also challenging it intellectually. Black excellence in arts, black excellence in sports, black excellence in education, black excellency in literature, in all fields. We were making a point that we are not intellectually inferior. And then came the fight for decolonization. African nations began fighting for independence from European authorities. There was the US civil rights movement. We had Martin Luther King. We had Malcolm X. We had a couple of them springing out. We were trying to say no. And so here we are in modern day 21st century. We have fought our way to end legal discrimination, at least in paper. There may be systemic discrimination, which you might not be able to place a hand on. It may exist. It does exist. It may exist in employment. It may exist in rent. It may exist in criminal justice. The presumption of guilt. And of course, it sure does exist in the workplace. We have come across several videos where a patient of a certain race would refuse a black doctor or nurse from attending to them. It's common, but we have made some progress from where we are coming from. And so all of these have necessitated ongoing movements and struggles, such as the Black Lives Matter. Remember, I started this video by mentioning Black Lives Matter. Why the fuss? Why do Black Lives Matter? Don't all lives matter? Don't Asian, Hispanic, Caucasian lives matter? But when we scream Black Lives Matter, that is not to say that other lives do not matter. We scream it loud because of where we are coming from and where we are, because of the historical and maybe present injustices that black people face, coming from slavery to segregation, racial profiling, police brutality, economic inequality. We scream it because it has become necessary to emphasize that Black Lives Matter too. Not because other lives don't matter, but because it is all about demanding fairness and equity in a situation where other lives are not particularly in jeopardy within that context. Let us bring this home. A woman in Africa is an endangered species. Permit me to refer her as thus. They are in a constant battle for survival. And once again, just as I told you about the Black lives, it wasn't always like that. Before colonialism, African societies were not entirely like this. We had mixed systems. We had patriarchal and also matriarchal, where women held political, economic, and spiritual authority. We had strong female rulers, queens who controlled kingdoms. In Nigeria, for example, we had the Queen Amina of Zazzau. I think Zazzau is the modern day Zamfara, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. We had Ya Asantewa in Ghana. We had Matamba in Angola. We had a number of them. Strong, fierce female warriors and leaders. Economically, women were very highly empowered. They stood strong on their feet, gidigba. Women were big traders and farmers and market leaders, traveling intercity to sell their goods. Southern women of Nigeria, oh my God, they were fire. They controlled their own wealth. Even in religion, yes, our traditional African religion, not the one that the Europeans introduced to us, that we have now all embraced, right? Women held the highest positions of authority spiritually. There were many female priestesses and healers and diviners. They were the ones that communicated directly to the gods and passed the information to the men. They were highly reverenced and feared. Many societies in Africa then practiced matrilineal inheritance. Very matrilineal. I know that some places like Abiriba in modern day southeastern Nigeria still have a very matrilineal system. It was rampant. Where wealth passes through the mother's line, and if a woman dies, you take her back to her parents' house to bury her in her own compound, her father's compound, not her husband's compound. And the women were not being forced to take up their husbands' names. Women took chieftaincy titles and got married. A woman can get married and bring in a wife into the home. They wrote wills. They wrote their wills, communal will, customary wills, and they held properties in their own names. We had very strong female institutions that summoned both men and women that met out injustice to others. If you're a woman, you maltreat your husband, they will summon you, they will deal with you. If you're a man, you maltreat your wife, you will be dealt with, you can't be banished. The female institutions were that strong. You dare not. We may not have had the fancy technology, but we had a system that was working for us. And so the Europeans came to Africa. They came with their perspective of women being weak and subordinate, subservient, and they imposed it on us, limiting the economic, political, and social freedoms of women. They told us to ditch our religion and taught us a religion that says sin came from a woman. They saw our female spiritual leaders and they were shocked and said, no, women cannot be priests. They cannot be archbishops. They cannot be popes. A woman should not lead. The place of the woman is at the home. And they taught us that women should not speak in public. And that if you are in the church and you hear something and you are not sure of it, shut up your mouth. When you get home, you ask your husband. And when you get to church, you cover your hair. But the man can open his hair. It's okay. They taught us that women should be silent and submissive. Go under the man. Walk in his shadow. Just like the Victorian European ideals, they emphasized and enforced that a woman's place is at the home front, rearing children, baking, cooking, doing the laundry. If you do not know, this housewife thing didn't originate from we Africans. So this housewife thing, wife must sit at home and cook and clean, it originated from the Europeans. That is what they taught us. The typical European woman back then does not go out to work. She stays at home. You see her with her prim and prom apron, her hair all packed up, being a homemaker. That was not our original culture. Go and read your history so you can know who you are. So when someone tells you who you are, you tell the person who you are. Our great-great-grandmothers were strong women, farmers, sellers of crops, business women. African women are bold, courageous, very vocal. We're not built to be silent or to stay quiet in the face of oppression. Maybe the northern women, but a core southern woman was not built that way. So if you're a person that enjoys silent people, just cross over and marry a Fulani. What do you think the movie Black Panther was depicting? It's a through-life trail from Benin Republic. The Dahomey Amazons, go and read about them. The Aba women who courageously, without their husbands, marched out. They knew that they could be killed. They knew that they would die. Yet they marched out in their thousands to stand against injustice. Do not let anybody deceive you that it's our culture for a woman to be seen something that is bad and shut up. So the Europeans came and they stripped women of political power. All traditional African female rulers and councils were immediately dissolved. The Igbo Women Assembly of Nigeria dismantled, destroyed. And women who were previously landowners, they could hold lands in their own name, in their own title. They were denied land ownership under colonial laws. Men were given waged labor while women couldn't earn. They were relegated to domestic agricultural work. There was emphasis on educating men and not women. Women were excluded from leadership positions, having a say in their society, and they placed women under male guardianship like children. And so we lost the right to our own lives and the control of our own affairs. So let me tell you, when you speak up about women being allowed to have a voice, and you hear an illiterate, an ignoramus, calling, hey, trying to suppress that thought and tell you, yeah, Western culture, you want to bring Western culture. Tell that ignoramus that the real Western culture is this borrowed, imported, oppressive system being exploited now. That the real African culture respected, treasured, and valued women. Don't get me wrong. I didn't say women were permitted to disrespect men. Women have always understood the importance of men and have honored men. But men too respected women. Everybody had their roles to play, and everybody played it in harmony. And so just like the blacks of the world, as I described to you, who went from respect to subjugation, women in Africa, women in Nigeria, went from a place of honor to being second-class citizens, and they were made to accept that it is a man's world. And even after colonialism, after the Europeans left, the men in authority were so excited to entrench this unilateral power that has been handed over to them. Who would they put sugar in his mouth and he will spit it out? They were happy to continue and label it our culture. We don't like better things. Easy authority without proving yourself. Whether you are worthy or not, it doesn't matter. Whether you are more skilled, whether you are more diverse, whether you are the more intelligent one or you are the dumb one, whether you have what it takes or not, just by virtue of being born with a penis, you are superior. You are better off. Of course, it's a very convenient position to assume and to sustain. You know, I would like to believe that blacks and whites are not really cut out from the same fabric. They are not the same, especially in way of thinking. A white person can admit their mistake, admit their flaws or their wrongs, apologize and make restitution, retrace their steps. If they find that a practice is outdated or does no longer serve a purpose in the current times, they don't mind retreating or retracting. But a black person would want to maintain status quo as long as it favors him. And that's why you have some leaders in Africa who have been in power for 40 years, 50 years, and they do not want to relinquish power. I believe that if it were Africans that colonized Europeans, colonialism and slavery would have still been in effect today because it's over their dead body that they would relinquish power. So we love to hold on to status quo as long as we're not the one at the receiving end of things. And we will conveniently justify it under religion and tradition and culture and custom. But watch that same person kick out that culture that does not serve in their favor. And so these Europeans that taught us that women should be silent, they should be at home, they should be servitude, they woke up to realize that the strength of a society lies in the strength of the women who are grooming these members of society and turning them out. They realized that no society can make sustainable progress when its women are enslaved and diminished and suppressed. They found out that a society that endangers its women endangers its future. And so they retraced their steps and began empowering women, started awarding them their rights, dignity, labor, education, employment, political representation. They started protecting them, started making sexual offenses very serious, and abolishing, eradicating these dehumanizing customs and practices. And they reinstated women to be a noble part of society. But what happened to the people whom they had already altered their way of life? African women continued to face oppression, both at the home front and in the larger society. And unhealthy, toxic patriarchy remained embedded in every sphere. If it was just in the family system or structure, maybe it would have been okay. But I mean patriarchy in economy, in politics, in the society, everywhere. Political exclusions, economic disparities, domestic violence, widow disinheritance, name it. And this, which has now become our culture, has followed us down to present day. And now stereotypes to clip the woman are institutionalized. Check your ambition. You can be zealous, but don't be overzealous, so you don't scare the men. You can read or study, but if you overread, MBA, PhD, won't you marry first? You will scare a man. You are not married, you are going to live alone. Don't rent a house or stay in your parents' house. Don't rent a house and be comfortable, so you don't scare men. Don't buy that car yet, you are not married, that car is so luxurious, so you don't scare the man. Through years of indoctrination, we have been positioned to believe that marriage should be our ultimate goal in life, our greatest desire, our biggest achievement. And a very brilliant author said, describing these behavioral stereotypes, she said, the same behaviors exhibited different interpretations. A man will be called strategic, but a woman will be called manipulative. A man will be called a leader, but a woman will be called controlling. A man will be called authoritative, but a woman will be called overbearing. A man will be called confident, but a woman will be called arrogant. A man will be called uncompromising, but the woman will be called a joy killer. A man will be said to be assertive, but a woman will be said to be aggressive. The behavior is the same. What is different is the body exhibiting the behavior. The Nigerian Senate comprises of 109 senators, 105 of which are men, while only four are women. 4 women who have had to fight hard, tooth and nail, to even be viewed as worthy enough to occupy that position. I remember when this same Senator NATASHA was campaigning for governorship of Kogi State. I think she came under the SDP party. I remember clearly. She was booed out of stage and called a prostitute, despite she goes way out of her way just to show conservativeness, because her morality will always be in question as a beautiful, successful woman. Successful banker, meeting your target. She sleeps with customers. Successful actress, getting roles. She sleeps with directors. Successful content creator, traveling all across the globe. There's one man bankrolling her. A successful politician, climbing up the ladder of her career. She's a prostitute. She sleeps with all these big men that push her.
Booing me, shouting me, Ashewo, get out, get out. I feel very bad. I feel humiliated, I swear to God. I don't do anything bad. When I at that moment, when I think I'm paying me. I said I walk come out for that venue. These same boys follow me. They boo me come out. I can't walk out like saying I say a criminal like me. I just can't think it's same me. Where because of me, these 2 countries just can't sign this agreement for Jakarta. Can't say 500 billion, don't come for my state. I don't do bad things, I don't be criminal. I live my whole life. Do good things. Besides, I be saint, but I don't deserve to be treated like that. And the worst thing we pay me say, even people from my own place, they go like that. But I forgive them, Sha. Because you see, this one be the effect of poverty. When you don't get bad leadership for so long, people don't forget how to live. They don't forget the human side of things. And that is why the good say make woman come the leader.
And so after all of that, a woman who is a senator raises a disturbing concern about sexual abuse, and it is treated as a mere distraction, an exaggeration. She is quickly turned into the villain by men and women alike, while the man who stands accused becomes the victim who is to be protected. A woman at Senator Natasha's level who is rich, educated, well-read, well-traveled, successful, married, can go through this in Africa, in Nigeria. Oh, I weep. I weep. I weep. I weep for the girl down the street selling pepper on her head who will get touched in the buttocks by a bricklayer. I weep for the 18-year-old undergraduate who will be made to fail a course because she refused to sleep with the lecturer. I weep for the contract staff at the bank who will be molested by a bank customer because she went to his office to do her job. I weep for the agbo seller who will be rounded up in the streets and arrested for no reason and then raped at the police station. I weep for the 10-year-old maid who Oga defiled. If a married senator in Nigeria can go through this and be disgraced and silenced, then I weep for the African woman. I do not know who a feminist is, and I do not care to know, because that word has been so bastardized. Any angry female on Twitter that hates men is termed a feminist. In fact, it has so become a forbidden or stained name that you see women, I beg, I'm not a feminist, to attract likeness from men. It is now an insultive word to silence outspoken women who stand for injustice. So I do not know what it is. But if feminism means, please do not disinherit widows from their husband's properties and throw them out of their husband's house. Allow women some representation in social affairs, politics, and economy. Stop beating your wife for goodness sake. A woman should not be made to face sexual abuse and keep quiet. She does not have to pay with her body to attain success. A woman has a right to say no to polygamy or any other thing that she is not okay with. If that is what feminism means, then all men should be feminists, even before women. I see a lot of men, a lot of my odogus, vocal and upset about this Senator Natasha's case. Do you know why? It is because we are fighting a common enemy, a politician. If it were just one usual incident like this, the response will be silence. At best, indifference. It's just very few that you will see coming out to condemn the acts. You will never find this uproar, this widespread criticism and condemnation for what is wrong and unfair. The comment section, Odogo representation will be non-existent. You see them peeping from the window. Say, Neze, finish this topic now. Bring another one. When I bring the one of Burna Boy scammed Sophia and ate the cookie without pay, they jumped in. Not guilty. Release Burna Boy. Not guilty. Not guilty. Not guilty. I saw them. I say, see your life, but there is a cost for silence. Silence in the face of oppression is not neutrality. It is complicity. You are complicit. Yes. Because by your silence, you send a message that violence, discrimination, and injustice is acceptable, is normal, and they can continue without consequence. When we refuse to speak up, we create an environment where oppression thrives, where your loved ones may one day be victims. That your precious beloved daughter, that you stopped her mother from working, but you are training her to the highest educational level. Your sisters, your nieces may one day be quashed by the oppressive structures that you ignore. You see that thing? It go reach your doorstep. It go reach your doormat. So just like Black Lives Matter, when we scream, let the women breathe. Don't suffocate us. We are not saying that men shouldn't breathe too, or that we should take the oxygen from the men. We are saying that due to our history, where we are coming from, the systemic oppression, the violence suffered both inside and out, the marginalization, the millions of NATASHA Akpoti who suffered the same fate or even far worse, but their own episodes do not get televised. We sound it loud, not because it doesn't happen at the other place, but due to the history and the prevalence. So we will keep talking. We cannot afford to stop talking. How can we? I can sit here and talk because the women before me spoke. And so I would speak louder so the women after me can speak loudest. When Senator NATASHA decided to talk, I do not assume or imagine that in her wildest dreams, she thought she would have gotten justice. Senator AKPABIO would have been punished. She would have been... I don't think that was what she imagined when she chose to speak. She understands the country that she is in. She understands that she's at a disadvantaged, hopeless situation. But she spoke anyways. Because through her, the next woman would get the strength to speak. And it will forever be etched in the history of this country, this country's politics, this country's Senate, that a woman called NATASHA Akpoti Uduaghan stood up for her rights and for her truth and accused the Senate president of sexual harassment. She may have been bashed and humiliated, but she has scored a very big point. Dear people of God, do not stop talking. You may be bashed, you may be labeled, you may be insulted, ridiculed. When or where has that ever changed anything? What does that matter? We have a very big problem in Africa and in Nigeria, and we have to collectively keep talking and acting, because change has never, ever, ever come from silence. Do drop all your thoughts down in the comment section. So guys, yes, we have come to the end of today's video. If you're new here, you're seeing me for the first time, or if you've been watching without subscribing, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give this video a big thumbs up, drop all your comments down in the comment section, and stay glued, for we have so much more coming your way. It's me, your girl Barrister Neze, and this is Nezeville. I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye.